How's your day going?
Good. How about yours?
Yeah, I'm gonna be quite frank. I'm coming off of a cold,
Oh
so
no.
if I'm gonna be I will mute myself if I need to cough or anything. But
Oh,
man,
good.
it was like I thought it was COVID on Friday, and it wasn't, and it just turned out to be like a really bad cold. And so
Yeah. You forget that those exist.
yeah, everything that happens to you, you're like, oh shit, this is COVID. Oh my God, this is COVID. I stubbed my toe. It's COVID. It sucks.
They're like, no, that's acne. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's COVID.
Right? I'm pretty sure this right here is COVID. Uh, also, congratulations on the new album. It's
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited.
that's a feat that people don't. I mean, obviously, a lot of people have done it before, but it's whenever someone gets to that level of releasing something, then especially in an official manner, oh my gosh, then I think that that's a good step for that comedian.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And plus, like, it just feels good to get those jokes out there and published and done with because I was starting to forget them and I was starting to age out of those jokes. It's like, how long am I going to talk about arguing with my mom? This is embarrassing. So it feels good to just get them out there. Especially because at a certain point I just start forgetting them and then I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, that just get them out there notion is something that I hear comedians mention all the time. And
Yeah.
how long have you been working on that set?
Um, well, I mean, I've been doing stand up for 15 years and then that particular set, I think I was like doing an hour, like headlining before, but I'm trying to remember exactly when that set started to come together. And I think it was before the pandemic,
Hmm.
when I realized how I wanted to structure the hour and how I had like one 20-minute story that I was like, oh, I can like splice different jokes into these sections and make it like one big special. And so I couldn't really work on it during the pandemic, but I think that's when the structure started to come together in my head. And then it only took a few months of like touring and running it for me to be ready to record it.
Hmm. And did you feel comfortable, like what's a natural just go, I'm gonna spend a lot of this time talking about my family? Because I mean, because I know it's a big thing, it's a cultural thing,
Mhm.
to say, to like, all right, well, here's my overbearing family, and now I'm going to give this to the audience, and because they need to
Right.
know what I experienced, but funnily.
Yeah, it was kind of, I mean, obviously I have some issues I was working through because I couldn't shut up about it, but I was kind of just looking through all I did that. That's what I did to prepare for the hours, list every single joke I liked. And then I was looking for any sort of structure or theme. And then it was literally that 20-minute story about telling my mom I wasn't a virgin that I was like, okay, this is the backbone of the special. And then once I realized the journey I wanted to take the audience on, the rest of it kind of started to fill in and go with it. And that's the same thing I did with the second hour I'm working on. So
Hmm.
it's more of just so far, I've just kind of let it like organically, whatever I've been talking about. And then once I hit on something where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm stuck on this thing. How do I make this a journey for the audience? How do I make this a special? And then I start to develop out.
I like that. That seems like a very natural way to come up with something versus, this funny thing happened to me. Let me try to develop jokes around that to make it funny. Yeah, I think organic stuff is uh it's obviously more personal, but it can last longer. It feels more green, because
Right.
now I feel that I could go up to your parents and just commiserate with them on having to have raised you.
That's a positive. That's a positive. My parents should support their comedy. I'm sharing their pain with the world. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I also felt very attacked by one not it was in the red flag bit where you were talking about the musician who slept on an air mattress. Now I do want to, like, I slept on an air mattress, but only because I was a senior in college and I was renting a 3 bedroom townhouse with 2 other people for the first time in my life, and I all of my money had to go to rent. and I could not afford a bed, so I bought an air mattress.
Look, an air mattress is not a disqualifier at all. It's just very easy to pick on. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
No, I've definitely, yeah, no, I've definitely, let's just say lots of air mattresses in my dating histories.
Oh God. Oh no, that's it. Oh geez. Speaking of red flags, Jesus. But it was everything felt natural, as I said before, and it felt good. Dog show, dog
Mhm.
show, perfect title for this. I
Oh, thank you.
love the key art. It's so wonderful. It's so specific. And but yes, you're like I grew up with a lot of Indian friends, a lot of
Mhm.
Asian friends, actually East Asian
Mhm.
friends, and so I know this world, and just hearing all of this brought me back to high school, to middle school, and understanding it truly is, like, now in
Yeah.
retrospect, a dog show. These
Yeah.
men are being trotted out for you. Like, he plays
Yes.
piano, he does this, he does that. It's insane. I love
Even
it.
like if people have seen like Indian matchmaking where
Mhm.
they literally bring out your stats, either like a dog show or a baseball player where they're like they have this degree and they've done this and this. It's like it's so yeah, it just makes you feel like you are being put out, like trotted out to be displayed,
Yeah.
by your family, as opposed to, just being loved.
That's all you want. All you want is just to be loved.
I just start crying. You're like, we're gonna end this early.
Like, oh my God, 6 minutes in. Uh, I also, you and I are also the same in that it is. I'm sorry, my cat is now bite. I'm asking her like a real important question, and she's so hungry. Anyway, she, I, we're the same that you said you have a fiance, correct? And okay,
Yeah.
and he's a white person.
Yeah.
Okay. So you and I date outside the race, and
Mhm.
it's like it's a huge thing in both of our communities
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't agree with, and they have their
Mhm.
opinions on. And I it sucks. It sucks, truly it sucks, and that's going to be something you have to stick with the rest of your life. But it's you're very easy to get along with on stage because of things like that, and also because of just things you experience. Because
Mhm.
was it did you always want to connect with the audience in any type of way? Because I think there's a lot of comedians that don't do that.
Right. I mean, it kind of happened organically, I'd say. I do want to, because I mean, especially, I mean, now I have him, so that's one list, but I'm very like antisocial in general. So, me being on stage, even comedians that aren't personal, they're still connecting in their own way.
Mhm.
Um, so I think with me being on stage in particular and sharing my experience, a lot of that comes from me feeling alone and feeling isolated and feeling shame. Whether it be for other Indian folks or where it's like, oh my God, she's so like Americanized, or she's dating a white dude, or like whatever, you know what I mean? It's just sharing that, like, oh, I felt that embarrassment, I felt that pain, I felt that judgment, and I want to share this experience so other people are going through it.
Hmm.
Also, I think that's like something nice I could do with my comedy. I don't know if I always achieve it, but it's like a nice goal to have. And then also just to like give that perspective, because people, especially when they look outside at your situation, they make a lot of assumptions
Yeah.
where it's like, oh my God, she was going after white dudes. I'm like, no, I told him no and he chased me down. So
Right.
if you should be mad at anybody, be mad at him. I'll give you his address. But like, it was like, or like they assume you have a preference or whatever. And it's like, no, man, he's the only one that was willing to put up with my bullshit. Like, he bought into 11. I mean, don't tell him. But, it's just, yeah, there's just a lot of, because that's especially with like social media, it's this false sense of intimacy. And again,
Uh,
stage, I'm still putting up a show. It's not 1000% who I am, even though I'm trying my best to be myself. But I just feel like you make a lot of assumptions about other people, or oh, they come from this, or they're doing this, so they suck. And I think like doing comedy gives you the opportunity to share your point of view and your thoughts, and like hopefully actually communicate who you are to people in a way they find like funny and super entertaining and that they can relate to.
that's good. I love that.
Yeah.
When did you decide, or when did you actually start feeling that you were comfortable with being this you as you said, you are somebody who's a little bit more introverted, but when did you start feeling like more comfortable on stage as that outward personality? Did it take a couple of years or was it instant?
Oh, instant no. I thought I was allergic to the microphone because my hands would go numb. I didn't know it was a panic attack. I started when I was 17. I wasn't like 25 and I was like,
Right.
what is this? No. You're like, Jesus, no. I didn't know what a panic attack was. I was literally having a panic attack for the first 5 years of me doing stand-up comedy.
Huh.
Um, but in terms of just having to be honest and authentic, part of because I started comedy because there was this comedian named Russell Peters who all of the Indian kids liked, and I wanted them to like me. They didn't like me because they didn't think I was Indian enough, basically. So I was trying to be like him, and I was like telling jokes about Indian people. And the thing is, I started comedy at a place called Pressure Cafe that is in a very Indian part of Chicago.
Hmm.
So literally, like groups of Indian folks would come in and then just stare at me stone faced and be like, "Oh, this bitch has no idea what she's talking about." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about." You know what I mean? And it was kind of like a moment in my head where I was like, "Oh, I have to authentically be myself and say what I believe, or these people see straight through me." So that's kind of like how that happened, where I was like, okay, well, then I guess I'll just talk about what I know and what I think and what I believe because I can't be this person that I think they want me to be because I'm not, and they can see through it.
Wow, I can't imagine it like just going to a place where, you know, theoretically you should kill. It's I've done, you know, I did stand up when I started this stupid website for a little bit just so I because I never thought I never wanted to do a career out of it. I just wanted to try it.
Hmm.
And I so I'm in Atlanta and I would go to places around the city or around, you know, the suburbs I was in at that point in time, and you know, just playing to mixed crowds,
Hmm.
sometimes like a lot of conservative crowds because it's the South. And it just I remember one time doing an open mic, and this guy told he was doing all impressions. He was like Jay Farrow, except he had no jokes behind his impressions. It was like, what if Eddie Murphy walked in here? It'd be like this, and he would do like
Yeah.
it sucked so much ass. But I remember like people going wild for him, and then
Oh yeah.
the next, and everybody before him died. Like no one laughed at anyone else's stuff. And then the woman that came after that guy, she was like, where my Republicans at? And everybody like cheered, and I realized that the crowd was there for her, and
Mm.
they laughed at her stuff. So like the Impressionists, they liked this girl who did I think only conservative based comedy, and then I went up there and. I'm not very fun. I'm not like a funniest person. I'm not even very funny, but I went up there and I friggin' bombed. And I for years I've just chalked it up to that crowd I was playing to, and it just sucks is what I'm saying. It just sucks that, you know, people come in even when they see you in that first half second. There's a preconceived notion of
Oh yeah.
we're judging you at this
You're
moment in
right,
time. It's not
right.
really funny. It sucks.
Yeah, no, that can be really hard. I mean, but sometimes that is the, I mean, they always say you should never say it's the audience. Sometimes it's the audience.
Yeah.
Sometimes you suck. You know,
It's
it's yeah, no, that does it does suck. And I used to, it's gotten better, but I used to have to address being an Indian woman on stage
mm,
because they would just stare at me like I was a dog that stood up on its hind legs and just started talking. And I was like, I have to be like, well, I'm a talking dog. Let's go solve some mysteries or whatever the hell. Like I had to acknowledge it because there was this tension.
ugh,
Um, but that was like 15 years ago, and now it's less and less. Like I
yeah.
almost never see it, and when I do see it, it's startling to me. Where it's just like a look of shock on people's faces, where they're like, "This is a comedian," but now like there's so much diversity in like what people see a comedian is. Like, um, thanks to people like Ali Wong and shit like that.
Mhm.
It's like really opened up people's perspectives. So I've had to address it less and less, which is nice.
Yeah, Ali Wong and, you know, Gabriel Iglesias and Kevin Hart, they've really opened up the door.
Mhm.
And yeah, I know those last two played at stadiums and like Dodger Stadium and stuff, but they've really opened up the door as to, you know, what the biggest comedians can look like. And obviously,
Right.
you know, those steps were there before, but Allie's first special on Netflix just did bonkers numbers, and no
Yeah.
one, I'm not gonna say no one expected that, but it was a surprise
Hmm.
because the people that knew her, they knew she was funny, but it's the people that don't know her, that person in, middle America, or that person in the South, that person who never typically watches an Asian comedian do
Right.
jokes like that. And even Russell Peters, like
Yeah.
he's a big name too, and it's good to see these people open up doors for the people that look like us, that are in
Yeah.
their orbit.
It proves that, like, which is like so dumb that we have to keep proving this again and again, but it's like, yeah, people who look like us, people can enjoy our content. Like, they don't have to be from the same background as us. Like, they'll come out and see us. Like, so, like, put us in the lead of a movie or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, have more faith in people. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
I mean, there's like 100 trolls on Twitter that are going to be mad that, like, whatever character in Star Wars is not black. But the rest of them, they're not going to give a shit. It's Star Wars. They'll come out, they'll watch the movie,
Yeah,
book people of color in the lead roles. It's fine. Like, just breathe.
yeah.
It'll be okay. I'm not that any like studio head is going to hear this, but if you do, come on, man.
There's like one studio head that's like, I love C plus comedy from this guy in Atlanta. I just love this guy. It's like whenever I started this, it's a very dumb thing and no one else follows it, but I started this thing where a couple of years ago, where I don't watch like a show or a movie unless it's got a person of color in it,
Mhm.
and preferably that it doesn't talk about their culture, where they're not
Right.
just forced to, I'm the Spanish character, I'm only going to talk about Spain, for the
Yeah.
entirety of the show or the movie. It's made I can't watch a lot of stuff like The Crown. I've never seen it and I don't want to. R.I.P. to the Queen. But but there's just a bunch of things I've never seen. And to that end, when I pull up Variety or the Hollywood Reporter or Deadline, and I see, this person was cast in this movie, and they add like 5 white names and then like 1 brown person, I go, really? I mean, unless there's a line that says "Get your beautiful white ass over here," they like that person,
Yeah.
like another person
It,
could have taken one of those white roles. It sucks.
yeah. Wasn't Michael B. Jordan talking about that with like Fahrenheit 451 or some shit?
Yeah,
Where, yeah, I think it was him, where it's like, Michael B. Jordan, like, you're gonna question because the character was, you don't think Michael B. Jordan, one of the most talented actors, one of the
mhm.
hottest people on this planet, like,
Right.
you don't think people are gonna come out to see that he can't embody that? Like, what? Like,
Yeah,
come on, man. Like, yeah, I mean, authors have that work to do where it's like opening, which is like, I mean, I know the creator of Bridgerton did it, but I also think, doesn't like Shonda Rhimes do that too?
yeah,
Where,
she's Bridgerton.
yeah, I don't know if she wrote it. I know she produced on it, but like, I was listening to her like talk about writing, and she was talking about how she doesn't necessarily give a physical description. She talks about
Mhm.
the emotion they evoke,
Okay.
where it's like he's inspiring, or everyone is like you know what I mean, like, or intimidating or whatever, like,
Yeah.
to open up casting opportunities that they haven't thought of before. So I think like authors do have some work to be more like Shonda Rhimes, and like create characters that could either be any ethnicity or an ethnicity that we don't typically see. Is It'll make it easier, because yeah, it's wild how much people are unwilling to reimagine the ethnicity of a
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. And
um
it's like, and yeah, and and to some extent it goes beyond ethnicity. Like the movie Bros that's coming out with
mhm.
what's that, Billy Eichner and Judd
Yeah.
Apatow. It's a movie, queer people. I love it. There's no people of color from what I can tell from like I go to
Hmm.
IMDb, if it takes me a while to scroll down to a brown person, then I'm like, yeah, it's queer, but also there's lacking,
Yeah.
diversity. And same thing for CBS just announced this week or last week, they said that they're gonna start including more people with different abilities, so differently
Hmm.
able people, which is fantastic. I think, it shouldn't be this difficult to get people
Yeah.
who don't look necessarily
Hmm.
normal or speak the same or whatever. And like when the Emmys came last night, when Squid Game won those roles, I was so excited because it was awards, because it's good to see, just something that wasn't born out of English,
Yeah.
and that wasn't born out of
Yeah.
some white man's fever dream too. And I love white people. I'm not saying, I love the women, I love the white women too, just, but it's just good to see these things. I love all women. I love all women. No discrimination here. Uh, my cat's a woman. But it's good to see these things,
Yeah, no,
survive.
and I feel you. And I always try to like be patient, you know what I mean? If that makes sense, where it's like um if like a director typically does works that are very diverse and then they have a movie that isn't, I'm not going to be like, oh, burn them to the ground. I also feel like there should be room for like criticism and then people going like, oh, I should have done better, and then doing better without it being like this super toxic like, well, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna burn this creative to the ground. And I'm like, all right, just like let them, I mean, yeah, if it's like a patterned behavior and they refuse to change, for sure, fuck them. But like, you know what I mean? I just feel like there has to be there doesn't
Leeway.
have to be. I mean, I feel like I would like there to be redemption and like opportunities for people to
Mhm.
learn, just as somebody personally who's very dumb. So I'm like trying to create space for myself.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
yeah, no, I just think like look at what people are doing over like who the fuck that guy, it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or whatever, that director, and like
Quentin.
Quentin, thank you, Jesus Christ. I was like, he's super famous. I felt so dumb. I'm like, what is that color? Red. Yeah, no, Quentin Tarantino. They were talking about how the female character didn't really have barely any lines.
Yeah.
And they were like, why would you write a woman like that? I'm like, yeah, but if you look at all of his other movies, he has like super strong, like female lead
Oh yeah.
characters. So I think like also, like look at what people are doing overall, before people, it's so easy to like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like condemn people. But I would say like for me it's more of like if this is a pattern thing you're refusing to fix or change, then I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
this
And
is something bad, very bad.
we'll get back to you. This is the last thing I'll say on
Mhm.
this, but I remember at the Oscars a couple of years ago, Frances McDormand, when she won an award, she got up and she said inclusion writer, and then everybody in the audience stood up and started clapping. And what she meant by that was to get people to, and behind the scenes, in front of the camera and behind the
Yeah.
camera, to start hiring different looking people. And then a year later nobody implemented that, with the exception of our boy Michael B. Jordan. He was the only one to do anything about
I
that. And that,
think Ava DuVernay started
yeah,
something along those
yeah,
lines too. Yeah.
for her show, is that Queen Sugar, she had like an entire
Yeah.
season that was women were directors.
But
And
it's so important. It's so important because it's like it's wild how like, and you see it with photographers too, where sometimes they just don't know how to light or like film people of
yeah,
color, or and it's just like you need it on every level. You really do.
yeah.
From like makeup artists to writers to performers to the people doing the lighting and the
Mhm.
sound, like and that's the thing, it's like so easy to focus on the discrimination in like Hollywood because it's these people are famous, but it's also happening probably at your Walgreens and at a bakery. Like there's like you have to keep fighting this fight on every level, So it's like good to see people having that cognizance, because I mean, I don't know that I would have had that thought. You know what I mean? Like if I would have been like, oh yeah, it's only white dudes holding the sound equipment. I don't know that I would have
Right.
consciously had that thought. So it's like I'm always grateful when people are like, yeah, this is weird and fucked up
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
needs to change, you know?
That's why I totally agree with everything you said. When I was when I do my research, I did some
Mhm.
peeping, and I was looking at your Instagram, and you posted a Deadline article.
Mhm.
So excited with your name highlighted. That's, I
Mhm.
always champion people when they get, cast in the role, and they're happy, and they want to post this article, that like Nicole Byer still does it,
Yeah.
because it's something that's important,
Mhm.
and should be lauded. It's fantastic to see, if someone like you just rise up in the ranks.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So that's a movie, correct? Or is it a
Mhm.
TV show? Okay.
No, it's a movie. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And have has work started on that at all?
Oh yeah, we wrapped it. I think they said there might be some reshoots, but I haven't heard anything, so I think it's in post right now. But yeah, very excited for it to come out.
That's good. I mean, it's you wrote on the Jim Jeffries show, right? And
Mhm.
did that help you hone, was acting, did that help you hone your voice? Did writing on that show, I know you're writing for somebody else, but did that help you hone your voice as a comedian at all?
Um, I think like any writing you do can like potentially bleed into the way you tell jokes or structure or like I think with maybe with the Jim Jeffries show it did help me focus on a subject for longer
Mm,
when I was like writing jokes and things. But I mean I had been doing stand up for so long by the time I started writing for that. I think actually acting has made me a stronger scripted writer because to act you have to really learn how to develop a character or like understand the depth of a character you need to have in your head to be able to step into them.
mhm.
So when I'm developing characters now as a scripted writer, having that background as an actor is like invaluable. Like it really taught me like this is the level of detail I need to understand how this person thinks, how they walk, how they move. Like it just made me realize there's so much I need to really develop a three-dimensional functioning person um moving around in the script.
Yeah. That's a very beautiful sentiment to have. It's like we've all seen the bad dialogue between one actor to another,
Yeah.
and to have that experience, I think really opens up the possibilities of what your script can be. And so
Hmm.
I'm glad that you, even if it's a short or if it's a TV show or a movie, I'm glad that you're able to find that
Oh,
both on and off the page.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at this. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so let's see. What else? Do I have anything else I want to ask you? I think we might be good on this. I don't know. It's Do you feel good? I feel good.
I feel good.
Okay, great. Except for the bleeding sensation in my lungs. I feel fine. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
that's COVID. That and the dandruff. That's all COVID.
COVID and dandruff. Oh my god. Hey, that's the title of your next special. COVID and dandruff. But thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Oh no,
I
thank
really
you.
do appreciate this.
No, this was really fun. Thank you for having me.
And have a good rest of your day.
You too. Go feed
This
your
is
cat.
Yeah. She's got 30 more minutes. It's fine. She can hold on for 30 minutes. But again, thanks. Good luck on everything, and you're a great performer, and keep it up. I really do
No, thank
appreciate
you. I really appreciate that.
it. All right. Bye.
Bye.